Stylish, bold, and sharp. Its smooth body lines and the way it's shaped provocatively stirs a strange excitement inside the headlights. And what about the engine sound that pierces through the body? With this car, you are the king of the road, the center of everyone's attention, and perhaps even the entire universe. Can you picture it? Hold on to that image in your mind, because it's the only thing that will help you not get scared and watch until the end. Oh, our top 10 most bizarre, frightening, and downright ugly cars. These cars are so peculiar that even their creators sometimes wake up in a cold sweat, remembering what they have done. From models that look like they were crafted from a kindergarten design project to those that resemble aliens, and not in a good way, after a botched plastic surgery. Today we will talk about those cars that make you question the existence of natural selection in the automotive world. About those iron horses that are so ugly, even their own rear-view mirrors turn away. Buckle up, pull your hood tight so no one sees you in this automotive nightmare, and get ready for the strangest car journey of your life. You're on the channel. Ready, steady, go. Let's go. Coming in last, and maybe that's for the best, opening our top 10 car monstrosities is the legendary Fiat Multipla, a true masterpiece of design if you write in some other parallel universe next to that word. This car is so unique that it was awarded its own platform in the New York Museum of Modern Art, but most likely as a visual aid on the topic how not to make cars. The compact van from the Italian company Fiat first saw the light in 1998. Wide, with 3 seats in the front and huge windows. Adjustable seats and a decent engine with a capacity of 0.4222 gallons under the hood. It could have conquered the car market, if not for one but. And a second, and a third, and so on. Let's be honest. When you look at this beauty, it seems like the designers decided to play a hard joke on the entire automotive world. Headlights that clearly got lost and accidentally ended up under the windshield. Check. The expression on the front, as if from a horror movie character, is present. This peculiar magnificence existed for a whole 12 years, making it clear to everyone that sometimes technical limitations can give rise to a true pinnacle of industrial absurdity. And as if that wasn't enough, the Italians released a facelifted model in 2004, which didn't significantly correct the original's design failure. You know, they usually say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but in the case of the Fiat Multipla, it would be more accurate to say ugliness is in the eye of the beholder. But despite all the mockery, this car was still purchased. Its fan is the famous TV presenter Jeremy Clarkson. The Multipla was just unlucky. First it was made ugly, and then it was just tasteless and uninteresting. Ultimately, sales declined, and the decision was made to discontinue such an unusual model. Since 2010, Fiat has not produced anything similar. The only somewhat similar vehicle could be the Fiat Doblo, known outside of Italy as the Ram ProMaster City. From the nightmarish, we move to the legendarily nightmarish. To a car that would have just rusted away in the backlots of some car factory if not for a popular TV series. Did someone say Pontiac Aztec? You're damn right. There is a theory that the decision to approve the production of this car was made by the General Motors management in an irrational state during a wild and unruly party. Of course, there will be an enthusiast, or, read, a lunatic, who will empty their bank account just to buy this monstrosity. A grotesque, slightly strained front, as if a father is hurriedly trying to make a ponytail for his daughter without being late to kindergarten. A bloated body based on a minivan with seemingly out-of-place square front arches. And the comments on the quality of the plastic body parts were endless. Automotive critics noted the generally awkward proportions and called it a station wagon stretched from the inside by a car bomb. To be fair, it should be noted that technically the Aztec wasn't bad. The advanced all-wheel drive system allowed for confident handling both on asphalt and off-road. Additional displays with head-up projection on the windshield. Many noted the high capacity of the trunk. The gasoline engine with a capacity of almost a whole gallon and 188 horsepower had no trouble pulling a fully loaded vehicle. But who cared about all these advantages of the car if just looking at it made you lose the desire to even approach it? All right, maybe it could attract with its price. And even there, it was a struggle. The price of the Aztec never rose above $27,800. And still, throughout its existence from 2000 to 2005, sales were low. In the final year, 2007, when the Aztec program was finally closed, only 69 South cars were sold. And what about this design mistake becoming a cult car? The timely appearance of the producers of the series, Breaking Bad, became a fateful turning point in automotive history. They urgently needed a car that would reflect all the hopelessness and despair of the terminally ill Walter White. This is what the Pontiac Aztec embodied. Before you is one of the striking, but not in a good sense of the word, results of the energy crisis of the 70s. At a time when everyone switched to strict fuel economy, contrary to common sense, the Pacer appeared. Let's try to understand at least a little of the logic of the American Motors Corporation during this period. Competitors from the big three, Chrysler, GM, and Ford, were breathing down their necks. Against this backdrop, AMC was in a terrible decline and desperately needed a breakthrough car. Such was the goal of creating the AMC Pacer, but it was not fulfilled. If your task is to make a compact car with low fuel consumption, you should adhere to the appropriate proportions. What does AMC do? Exactly. They create a ridiculous Pokemon from all angles with a long hood and a short rear end. The wide body with a spacious interior made the car almost square, and the windshield and large windows, intended to increase visibility, magically turned the car into an oven on wheels, which the Pacer became in hot weather. The doors caused great bewilderment. What prompted the designers to make them different lengths remains a mystery. Due to its distinctive appearance, the car earned the nickname Flying Aquarium, under which it went down in history. Production lasted only 5 years, from 1975 to 1980, a rather short lifespan. Nevertheless, nearly 350,000 cars were produced. The AMC management had high hopes for this breakthrough, but the buyers had their say. Some noted inconveniences during operation, while others claimed that the car did not meet their expectations in terms of comfort. Overall, the innovative design was received coolly by the public. As a result, the AMC Pacer became one of the most well-known examples of an unsuccessful car during the already bleak 70s. Despite the initial ambitions to create a revolutionary model, the car was remembered more for its unusual appearance and numerous controversial design choices than for any real advantages. Nevertheless, the Pacer left a significant mark in the history of automobile manufacturing. It became a vivid example of how the pursuit of innovation during a crisis and severe austerity can lead to unexpected and not always positive results. Try to name a car on the first try, whose design doesn't just evoke controversial feelings. A car that simultaneously looks like an angry raccoon, a suspicious snake, and a very cunning cat with a grand plan to steal meat from the table. Couldn't do it? No need to be upset. The design team from the Japanese company Nissan has already done it for you. The Nissan Juke looks like a small, colorful field of aesthetic battle, which was utterly lost. It feels like two very aggressively opposed teams worked on its creation. The first dreamed of a compact crossover with a cute, playful design and expressive round headlights. The second insisted on creating a sports coupe with aggressive lines and a sloping roof. As a result, the Juke was born, which, against its will, combined the contradictory demands of the Japanese. The legend of Japanese car design Shiro Nakamura wanted to convey lightness and a hint of spring, like the flight of a May beetle, when creating the car. Did he succeed? On one hand, the compact body shape combined with a well-designed suspension provided very good handling for the car. The large ground clearance of 7 inches allows you to get rid of the fear of crushing the already not particularly attractive front end on a curb. But there are a couple of points. Let's start with the front part. It is heavily overloaded and resembles the face of a person trying to frown and smile at the same time. The separated headlights seem to be taken from another dimension, one where the concepts of proportion and harmony do not exist. The car's profile also does not add to its attractiveness. The designers clearly decided to play a game of sticking on whatever they could find. Especially amusing are these strange fenders that seem to be taped to the body. The rear end looks as if it was designed by two friends who argued so much that they didn't even speak to each other. And the trunk space is so small that it could be mistaken for a second glove compartment. Usually, designers strive to create something unique. In the case of the Nissan Juke, the uniqueness has reached such heights that the car more closely resembles an ancient artifact from a museum of horrors. And yet, the design inconsistencies of this car, on the contrary, allow it to attract attention. Imagine a very unusual car that made it onto the list of the 50 ugliest cars of the second half of the 20th century. A modern car enthusiast might compare it to the famous meme about Pepe the Frog. The Citroën Ami, even with its unconventional appearance, truly became a people's car. However, only in France. Its creator is the legendary Flaminio Bertoni. Its debut in 1969 sparked genuine interest. The appearance of the Ami was very futuristic for its time, and many considered it controversial. Its eccentric design was distinguished by a curved hood and reverse-angled rear pillars. The unusual shape of the rear window is not just a design choice, but the result of a necessary measure. The company's management set a strict limit on the car's length, which was not to exceed 4 meters. To fit all the necessary elements into such compact dimensions, engineers and designers had to make a compromise. It was the only way to ensure sufficient interior space while still meeting the specified parameters. The front part raised no fewer questions. The rectangular headlights combined with the uniquely shaped hood resembled the tired mustached face of a person who had never looked in a mirror. Surprisingly, the Ami gained great popularity in its homeland. In just the first year of the car's existence, 85,000 units were sold. The Citroën's peculiar appearance did not prevent it from becoming popular among housewives. It was chosen as a family car, which was well suited for joint outings in nature. The Citroën Ami was not an attempt to create a luxury car. Rather, it was a practical and functional vehicle with character. A reminder that good design doesn't necessarily have to be complex. Sometimes simplicity and functionality can create something far more memorable than the most sophisticated design solutions. And once again, we find ourselves in the realm of rather strange ideas in Japanese car manufacturing in terms of design. A refrigerator on wheels, a self-propelled cube, and other quite insulting nicknames were given to our next hero, the Nissan Cube. This car was produced from 1998 to 2019. The second-generation Cube was released in a quantity of 130,000 units, which were sold worldwide. It was quite a successful model, especially in Japan. Its distinctive shape became the key to its popularity among Japanese car owners. The lack of land for building both a house and a garage in the land of the rising sun was not a problem for Cube owners. The car was also often purchased for transporting people with limited mobility. And some might even recall its particular popularity among JDM tuning enthusiasts and members of the stance subculture. The Nissan Cube was sold beyond the Japanese islands, in the USA and Canada, South Korea and Thailand. Several dozen cars ended up in Poland as well. This indicates that the model was quite popular despite its unique design. Externally, it resembled something between an aquarium and a rounded brick. The creators were clearly inspired by the works of Salvador Dalí. The shape of the body resembles a box. This, of course, makes it easily recognizable. At the same time, it creates a sense of clumsiness. The square lines and angles, which are supposed to emphasize its uniqueness, actually look outdated. Other car manufacturers always strive to make their cars as aerodynamic as possible. A sufficiently high aerodynamic shape reduces resistance to oncoming airflow and helps save fuel. How the rectangular front and the almost 90-degree windshield handle this is quite difficult to understand. In the early 2000s, the Chrysler brand was in the so-called retro phase. The company was actively experimenting with design and was inspired by the style of past decades. One of the most striking representatives of this direction was the PT Cruiser. The design was developed by the talented designer Brian Nesbitt. He had previously worked on the Chevrolet HHR project. The car was a rather unusual combination of elements. On one hand, it resembled a classic hot rod, and on the other it had features of a modern minivan. The large grille in the shape of a heraldic shield, characteristic of cars from the 20s and 30s, sparked particular debate. This element made the car memorable, but in the overall composition, it looked quite contradictory. A little later, the Chrysler Corporation decided that the standard version was not eccentric enough. Thus, in 2005, a convertible coupe version appeared. This decision caused even more bewilderment among car enthusiasts. On one hand, the convertible roof added elements of freedom and openness, but on the other hand, it created the impression that the car was trying to be something more than it actually was. To be fair, as a two-door convertible, the PT Cruiser looked almost charming. In this version, it acquired more harmonious proportions. At that time, many owners and mere observers appreciated its unique style. From 2001 to 2007, more than 1,350,000 cars were sold. The PT was manufactured at plants in Mexico and Austria. Special versions with unique elements like chrome details, special color schemes, and sport versions were created there. An interesting fact for the American market. Chrysler specifically classified the 5-door version as a light truck. This allowed the company to meet the requirements of the corporate average fuel economy standards set in the USA. This decision allowed the model to occupy a unique niche between passenger cars and commercial vehicles. Known in history as one of the biggest failures in the American automotive industry, the Edsel became an example of how even the most ambitious plans can turn into a failure. An independent division of the Ford company in the late 50s created the car of the same name, and it was conceived as a response to the General Motors Corporation. GM already had several brands in its portfolio aimed at the mid-price segment, while Edsel Motors sought to create a unique car. In addition to an affordable price, it was supposed to combine traditional elements with original design, be capable of attracting affluent buyers, and make a splash in the automotive market. Despite all the obstacles, the goal of creating a sensation was achieved, although not quite as planned. In 1958, the Edsel was introduced to the general public. This car made an indelible impression, unfortunately not in a positive way. The large car with a rather controversial design became the subject of ridicule. The most memorable feature was the huge vertical slit in the radiator grille. It seemed to scream about its uniqueness, but ultimately it only highlighted the car's ugliness. Technically, the Edsel was no different from other Ford models like the Mercury. Inside, it offered engines familiar to Americans, V8s, and automatic transmissions. However, this did not help attract buyers. It turned out that from the very beginning things went poorly for the car. In the first year, instead of the planned 200,000 units, only 63,000 were sold. This was a troubling sign. Despite attempts to improve the situation, demand for the cars continued to decline. In 1960, the Edsel was discontinued due to low demand and huge losses. Ford's total losses amounted to $259 million. This is equivalent to more than $2.5 billion at today's rate. Such a blatant failure was not just a financial blow for Ford, it became a lesson for the entire automotive industry on the importance of considering consumer needs and preferences. In the realm of reliability and high quality, things were not always smooth either. On November 29, 2021, at the auto show in Miami Beach, the German company BMW presented a concept of a full-size hybrid crossover. The model, named XM, promised to be the most stylish and powerful car while still adhering to the eco agenda. But we are particularly interested in the design aspect. From the front, the car evokes associations with the well-known pigs from the game, Angry Birds. The shape and expression of the front create a rather comical impression. This is unlikely to meet the expectations of a cool premium SUV. From the side, the X looks excessively massive, and this is combined with its impressive wheels with a diameter of a whole 23 inches. The body lines overall seem chaotic and disorganized. Instead of an ultra-modern car, we got a sort of mess that doesn't meet modern design standards. The rear lights look as if they were temporarily borrowed from a completely different car, possibly even from another brand. This further emphasizes the inconsistency of the overall style. The most controversial element can be considered the badge on the rear window. It was intended as a nod to the legendary BMW M. Unfortunately, the new XM has almost nothing in common with the original. Among brand enthusiasts, this causes confusion and even disappointment, as they expected the new car to not only reference the past but also be a worthy continuation of the traditions. This reaction became one of the variables in the formula for low sales. As of October 2024, only about 3,807 units have been sold. Let's be optimistic and remember that the glass can still be half full. Bold experiments in both design and technical aspects make the BMW XM an attractive choice for those seeking a powerful and versatile vehicle. And yet, if given a choice, many would prefer the good old X5 model. This car, with its more moderate design and proven reputation, seems like a suitable option for those who value style and functionality. As is well known, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and one day, a perfectly suitable car appeared for this road. In the literal sense, the one, and, perhaps fortunately, truly unique Aurora by Alfred Giuliano. In the 60s, Catholic priest Alfred Giuliano set himself a noble goal. He wanted to create the truly safest car. Without a single grain of technical knowledge, but with a mad desire to preserve human life, he managed to design the unique Aurora, a car with a bright name that never became a true dawn. 2 years of project development and another 2 for its assembly. Alfred bought a nearly dead 1953 Buick from a junkyard. He used its frame and engine as the foundation. He decided to create the body of his masterpiece not from the usual metal but from fiberglass. The unusual shapes were due to the metal frame, whose cavities were filled with special impact-absorbing foam. Julian's lack of technical knowledge led to a whole series of unfortunate incidents. When the quintessence of safety was ready, Alfred decided to drive the Aurora himself to one of the exhibitions in New York in 1957. On the way there, the car broke down a total of 15 times. When they finally managed to reach the destination, instead of amazement and admiration from the audience, the Aurora received a wave of skepticism not only about the car's appearance but also its performance and price. The prototype cost an exorbitant $30,000. Alfred planned to sell the Aurora for a more modest sum of $12,000. Indeed, modest compared to the Cadillac Eldorado Brougham, which sold during the same period for $13,000 and was considered the most expensive car. The endings of Alfred Julian's story and his creation turned out differently. The priest was accused of bankrupting his parish and was excommunicated from the church. To try to cover the debts, Aurora was handed over to the owner of the garage where it was assembled by court decision. The new owner had no need for the safety grail, and in essence, it was doomed to rot in the backyard. But 26 years later, British enthusiast and inventor Andy Saunders saw a newspaper article about this story. Inspired by the idea, he bought and restored Aurora. The car gained a second life. Style, like beauty, is a subjective concept, especially in the world of cars. It all depends on the personal preferences of the viewer. Every car from our video has a chance to become iconic, if it hasn't already. Their unique appearance will always attract the attention of enthusiasts and collectors. It's important to remember that each of them has an interesting story, a story that reflects the ideas of its time. Which of the heroes from our top list was a revelation for you? Which of them, on the contrary, seemed very beautiful to you? Share your opinion in the comments. See you in our next video.